good evening. It is Monique Denton, your host of Sis Table Talk. Welcome to another edition. We have another one of our fabulous Sis Network members tonight, Lady Siza Chaplin. Let me tell you, if you have not joined the Sis Network, go to sistersinspiresisters.com/membership to get all of the information. Our special guest tonight is not only a network member, but also one of the 50 phenomenal women that is, listen, the 50 Phenomenal Women Anthology and Virtual Summit will be out in November. And when I tell you, just be prepared, okay? Be prepared to be sick of us, okay? Tell them, Siza, be prepared because you are going to find some amazing stories. You're going to meet some amazing women, and you will be inspired, motivated, educated, and empowered. So our topic tonight is imperfectly perfect. You know, how many of us are imperfectly perfect and how many of us are imperfect but don't feel that that's okay? So Lady Siza is going to drop some gems. Make sure you have your notebook. Make sure you have your pad. This phenomenal speaker, author, and advocate is here to really educate and enlighten. Lady Siza, thank you so much for being here. And I'm just going to pass the mic to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, where you do it, and who you are.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity, Monique. Hello, everyone. My name is Siza again, but fondly known as Lady Siza Chaplin. From South Africa originally, but now, of course, I live in the U.S. in New Jersey with my husband, who is a pastor. So that makes me a pastor's wife as well. We pastor a church called the Inspired Church, which is situated in Newark, New Jersey, and yeah. And apart from that, I am an author of a book called Enough Already: Overcoming the Stigmas of Alopecia. You can find this on at Amazon. And of course, I'm going to be part of the anthology very soon, which I'm so excited about. 50 phenomenal women, because we all are. And besides from that, I'm also an advocate for alopecia. As you can see, my hairstyle, it is not by choice. It is definitely by force, but I have come to embrace it because no hair, I really don't care. And also, I speak on that topic mostly, but also on just self-esteem, self-love, and just inspiring people and motivating them to live their best lives.
Okay, so that no hair, no care, I know that that has to be a journey. That had to be a journey. Can you just tell us a little bit about that and how, and first of all, I love your t-shirt, hashtag no hair, don't care. I love that. So if you can tell us a little bit about your journey of how it started and how you got to the place where you are today. I mean, 100% comfortable, confident, because you exude confidence, right? So first of all, not only are you fabulous, and I've seen some pictures on Facebook, and I'm like, okay, Lady Siza, those outfits, I need to find that boutique. But not only are you fabulous, you just exude confidence, and you exude, like, you represent, a woman that feels good about who she is and a woman that feels good in her skin. So what was that journey like for you?
Thank you so much for the kind words, Monique. But I'd just like to start off um, my talk with you with a quote that I really love, and it'll be included in my chapter in the anthology by Steve Maraboli, which goes, "There is nothing more rare nor more beautiful than a woman being unapologetically herself, comfortable in her perfect imperfections. To me, that is the essence of beauty." Just that alone, just in a nutshell, describes my journey. I was apologetic for a very long time. Alopecia started about 11 years ago, which means I had hair from birth till the age of 30, when my hair started dropping off, falling off my head. Unexplained, never seen anyone with alopecia. I never even heard of the word alopecia. I remember when I first got the diagnosis, when the doctor told me, "You have alopecia." I was like, "Alo who? Alo what?" It sounded like some, alien name. And then my journey started. The first couple of years were a nightmare. The first 2 years mainly. I tried to commit suicide twice. I hated what I looked like. It was just a terrible time in my life. I was at the lowest of my low, and people will ask, but why? It's just hair. Well, that's what most people think who are not forced to be in my situation at their prime age of just losing hair unexplained. And when you find out the diagnosis that it's incurable, then it's like, wow. So you're saying I'm stuck like this forever? It's either I take it or that's it. So that's how the embracing my identity came, and that's how I came to where I am right now, and just um, going through the grieving process, which I did. And that's why I say to most women, because I do also have a support group for global women it was firstly just for South Africans. Now it's been opened up globally for women who are, going through the same journey as I have. Some are still in the grieving process. Some have come out of it, and because you go back and forth once you have not accepted it completely that you've got this condition, which is for life. And one thing that I always tell them is that, you gotta grieve because this is like losing a limb. It's hair, for crying out loud, especially for Black women.
Right.
Hair is, look at how gorgeous your head is. I think I would love to have that if given a choice. But I had to come to, um, you know, a realization that it's not going to grow back. Only God can bring it back. I've tried every remedy in the book. Everybody who suggested anything, I would go for it. Up to a point where I realized that it was draining me and it was taking more out of me than it was putting in. And I realized that, what? If I don't accept these imperfections, which make me perfect, then I will live in prison forever. Because that's what you do live in when you don't accept the imperfections that God has given you, because this is part of my story and my journey. And God saw it fit that He gives it to me because He knew that there will be other women who will rely on me to keep going, because this is an emotional disease. It's not, it's a psychological disease. Yes, it's not fatal, because that's why people say, but you don't die. It's not like cancer. Well, without undermining people with cancer or even the condition of cancer, but it's a condition. Because when you say that, then you're undermining my pain. You're undermining my journey. Because who wouldn't want to have hair by choice? Who wouldn't?
Right. Right. So when you started this journey, because I'm wondering what type of role your faith played in it. Were you already a first lady? Had you become a first lady already, or was that um, after it started, the alopecia?
So I got diagnosed in South Africa. I was still there, living there. In South Africa, I was a health practitioner. I was a environmental health practitioner, and of course, I worked in a hospital or in the healthcare sector. In fact, when my hair started falling off, I was working in a hospital. And can you imagine being around healthcare professionals, but never ever hearing about this word? Yes, it's there, but people are hiding because it's so shameful, right? And I was afraid to come out as well, because if you look around, everybody's got hair or wigs or weaves, whatever, and you don't see many women walking around with their bald heads. It's only starting now because there are people like myself who've come out and say it's okay to walk around bald and be confident in your own skin. But back then, 11 years ago, it was a rare occasion where you found a woman in their 30s just walking around bald. So my first discovery of this was I was single, and it was not just the hair loss for me, but I also had hyperpigmentation. Because alopecia is an autoimmune condition, so it always like to invite other autoimmune conditions, and hyperpigmentation is an autoimmune condition as well. So not only was I losing my hair, but I was losing my skin complexion. I was becoming I almost was as dark as this t-shirt I'm wearing, and I just could not contemplate what was happening to me. Doctors couldn't explain what was happening. I had been to about 4 or 5 doctors. I was like the woman with the issue of blood in the Bible. Like I literally went to doctor after doctor for almost a year, if not more. And only that last lady doctor who just took it lightly, who said, "Oh, it's alopecia. What were they saying you have?" And I kid you not, it was my first encounter of that word. But when I was then diagnosed and I did my own research, only to find there's millions of people living with alopecia, not just women, children, and men that are going through the struggle. And I'm thankful for Will Smith and Jada, who made it a an international talk,
Yeah.
because most people know about alopecia when many people didn't. Because when they come across a person like myself with a bald head, people automatically assume that I was suffering from cancer and I was going through chemo. So, no, to answer your question, I was not a first lady. I was very much single. In fact, I was hoping and praying for a husband at that time, and nobody was coming my way because I didn't like the person I was. And I wasn't even looking to have somebody love me because I couldn't love myself.
Wow. So how did that transition to not transition, transformation? Because you obviously to be in the place that you are now, there had to be a shift. So what point in your life and around what age was the shift where you was like, you know what, I'm not living like this anymore. There has to be a change.
So when I met my husband online in America now, I had come over to study. I was attempting my second master's in diplomacy. And I decided, let me just try online dating because this one-on-one thing is not working for me. And I just want to be with somebody because I had been single for over 7 years. And so I met this gentleman, the first guy that I met online. He blatantly rejected me. And when I told him that I have alopecia, so I said to him, listen, I don't have any hair before we even meet, and it might not ever grow back. So do you know about alopecia? He was like, no. I said, I'd like for you to go just do your research and see if you would be with a woman without hair for life and you would become comfortable with that. After that, he blocked me. So I never really saw him ever again. So I realized, oh, okay. So it was another, a rejection because people with alopecia, we feel, well, I felt at that point that I wasn't beautiful and I was not worthy of love. So that really hit me hard. And it took a couple of more months and because I was praying for a husband. I mean, I was over 30. I was 34, 5, around about there. And I just needed companionship. And so when I had that urge to go back to online dating, and then came across my husband, my now husband, who, of course, that was my first thing. I said, "Listen, I don't have any hair. Are you comfortable with that?" He was like, who cares? God can grow it back. I mean, he was so chilled about it. I was like, okay, I guess this might be the dude. And so he played a huge role in my coming out, if I could call it that, in my confidence, because he's just been a darling. He told me that, you know what, I'm comfortable with you. I love your personality. I don't really care what you look like outside. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Whatever that happened to you happened because it happened. It's not your fault. But I love you the way you are, and I think that gave me the confidence to say, if he loves me and accepts me, then I don't care what the world thinks.
Right.
My family was still struggling to understand the concept because, I mean, this is South Africa, very limited resources. People don't really speak about this because it's kind of taboo. It's an African country, and hair is like a big deal to African people. So I mean, I remember even in my book, I have a chapter where I speak about, I thought it was witchcraft. I was just thinking all these different things, that were causing my hair loss, only to think that it's just a health condition. So my husband played a very big role in making me love myself and come out of the shell and just speak about it. But when I first met him, of course, I had my wig on, but he knew that under the wig there was no hair, and he just embraced me. He loved me like the way I was and still am. And it made my journey of coming out very easy, and to be accepted or even rejected by the world, which they did not reject me. When I remember my first picture that I posted on Facebook when I came out, like officially, I had such great feedback. People were like, "Oh my God, you look so good! You look younger!" Oh, it's just such good feedback that I'm like, okay, maybe I'm not as bad as I think I am. So let me just give this hair, this bold thing a shot. And then afterwards, I just took off and never looked back.
Wow. So that is a phenomenal story within itself. Okay, that's a phenomenal story. Hello, everyone on Facebook, LinkedIn. Thank you for shouting out. We have good evening. Hello, we have waves. So thank you, everyone. Please like, share. Our topic is imperfectly perfect. And if you missed the first half of this, please go back and listen to the replay. So when you say that you are a speaker and an advocate, you truly, truly embody that because one, there's a lesson in terms of even the dating, and you think about your insecurities, right? And you think about things that bother you that other people might not even think about. But the fact that you were able up front to say, look, this is what it is. This is who I am, you
And this
know.
is the best policy, right?
Right. Exactly. And then to get when you met your husband, the way he responded, and of course that is really, of course, a confidence booster. So congratulations on that. When you speak to women and when you advocate for those that have alopecia, what are let's say three of the main things that you tell them that's really important in terms of being able to manage this health condition successfully?
So let me just start off by even just describing the word imperfect, because we take this word and we think it's like a real word, well, it's a real word, but we take it literally. If you spell the word imperfect, have you ever seen that it says I'm perfect?
Mm,
Imperfect, I'm perfect, because there is no perfection out there. You create your own perfection. So that's the first thing I tell women, that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, first of all. And if you perceive yourself beautiful, the world will see you as beautiful. I remember at one point when I was still struggling with this being bold and beautiful situation, where people used to stare at me and I used to feel some kind of way. Now I don't care about stares. I stare back, or I look at you and I smile, and they see that I'm confident in my skin, so they're comfortable back at me. So it's all about just being comfortable within your own skin and accepting your journey, and just embracing it, because how does it help you to pity yourself, because you're losing out. Life is too short. So some
right,
of the things I tell women is that just self love is critical. Love yourself first, because how will you expect other people to love you when you fail to love yourself? Because that's where it starts. You're
right,
perfect as you are. Those little imperfections that you see, people actually love that about you. I know in the winter season I wear wigs and scarves because it's cold in New Jersey, and I'm not going to, go around and say I'm an advocate for alopecia and feel cold. So people know wintertime I have my wigs, and I enjoy that because I can play around with that. And for people who are like, but you're an advocate, like, listen, hair for me is an accessory now, and this is what I tell women as well. Take it as an accessory, like putting on earrings, putting on
right.
a necklace. Don't take it as if you're missing something that's critical for you to move on in life. Look at Lady Siza. She's living her life to the fullest. I'll tell you this thing that I've shared with you before, and I'll just share with our viewers. When I celebrated my 40th birthday last year, I wanted to skydive, and I've always wanted to do that. And but I had this wig that I could not take off because I had it. I was in hiding for over 8 years, and I didn't want anybody to see me without the wig. Somebody would knock at my door, I would run and put on something to cover my head. That's how shameful I felt about being seen without the wig, or a covering on my head. So when the opportunity presented itself and I was out already, in 2017, I made it official. 2018, I wrote my books just to make the world know that, hey, I'm here to stay with my bald head. Then last year, I decided, let me skydive. I don't have a wig to worry about, and I will feel the air. It was the best thing ever. That's
Wow.
when I felt I am living now, because I have nothing to hide. Because when you have accepted who you are and you love, yourself, nobody can tell you otherwise. Nobody.
Wow. I absolutely love that. So if you are taking notes, love yourself and accept who you are. And I'm looking at the word imperfect differently now. So thank you for that. I'm looking at imperfect different, and it's I'm perfect.
I'm
So
perfect.
when you, for everyone, and if you're listening, type that in the chat, hashtag I'm perfect. Loving how you found yourself, one of our listeners said. And I mean, I had no idea, even when you told the story of meeting, and first of all, and now you're a first lady. Okay, so let me just get to that really quickly before we run out of time. How do you feel in the position of first lady? Um, again, with your health challenges, and then how do you manage the women in the congregation? Like, are there different things that you do for them? Do you have different programs in terms of being perfectly imperfect, or self-esteem, or self-confidence, or women's groups? How does that impact your leadership in the capacity of a first lady? That's a huge responsibility.
It is definitely, and I remember when I wanted to come out of the church. I mean, they knew already because I'm very active on Facebook, and I did my book launch, etc. But when I wanted to come out and be able to be comfortable to come to the church without a wig or a hat on, because it's hard, and when you're bald, you sweat more than usual. You know, that's why you find most bald head always, bald people, or bald men always having a towel or a hanky because you sweat more. I don't know why, but you do. And I just couldn't tolerate having a wig in a day like this where it's extremely hot. And I had to go to the older women in the church, the elders, and say, listen, I'm thinking of coming to church with my bald head. Will you be comfortable with that? Because I don't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable. This is an African American church, and we are very old school church. So, you have to wear the matching shoes and the matching suits and the hats, which I never got into because that was not my thing. But I allowed the ladies to do that. I mean, I didn't mind, and I told them I'm going to be myself. Allow me to be that because I don't want to portray somebody else that I'm not. And they said, First Lady, if you're comfortable with that, that's okay with us. And I said, thank you, because I believe that I cannot tell people what I'm not living. And
Mhm.
when I say to people, be confident, be comfortable, don't try to be somebody else or somebody that you're not, and I'm not living that, then I'm lying. So it was very important for me to be able to be open to the congregation when they see me, or even I'm invited to come to speak to various churches. They know Lady Caesar's gonna come with her bald head, and it's not like oh wow, or disrespectful thing, because the verse that's being um, that's controversial because it's being misinterpreted in the Bible that hair is a woman's crowning glory. We misread that. And if we had time, I would unpack that and tell you what it is. But I do talk about it in my book. So check out my book. It will tell you more about that. Shameless plug. But, the point is, Apostle Paul at that time was speaking to the church of Corinth, the prostitutes who came in the church with shaved head. He was not speaking to women in general. He was saying, so that you don't get expose yourself of who you are, cover yourself, so that people don't judge you as you come into the house of the Lord. So people take it literally and think it's a crowning glory. This is my crowning glory because this is what God allowed me to have. I'm not going to try and have hair that I don't necessarily have. So that's my message to women, even women in the church, other first ladies as well, who are going through different struggles, because it's not just necessarily hair. My issue, my imperfection could be the hair loss. Other people's imperfection is something different. Maybe they overweight, maybe they lost an eye due to an accident, maybe they have a scratch that they can get rid of. Whatever it is,
Mhm.
an imperfection that you probably cannot change because you don't have maybe the funds to correct that at the time. So you just have to adapt and embrace it. And I'm all about that. Just embrace whatever that you're going through, and trust and believe that people will embrace back. Because if you are the one who's not sure, people will also show that back to you. People will always treat you the way you show them how you want to be treated.
Absolutely. This was so good. This was so good. Thank you so much, everyone, for the comments. And okay, so we need to know, and I'm going to put your website up, but we need to know where we can purchase the book. And if you can give us the name and the title of the book one more time.
So the name of the book is Alopecia. Oh, it's enough already. Overcoming the Stigmas of Alopecia. You can find this on Amazon. Yeah, that's it. By Siza and Julie Chaplin. But if you just type in enough already, Overcoming the Stigmas of Alopecia, you'll definitely get hold of the book yourself. Yeah.
So I want to thank you, Lady Siza, first of all, for your transparency, for sharing your stories. And then I just found it to be so interesting, but it is our reality, especially in African American churches. We are expected to show up a certain type of way. And the fact that you asked the elders of the church, look, is it okay? Is it okay? That's our reality. So for you to do that as the first lady of the church, that says a lot. And of course, their response was, if you're okay with it, we are. But just being able to talk about that, a lot of times things like that happen and we don't talk about it. There's a lot, we just make it seem like, okay, it never happened. Everything was okay. We don't discuss it. But there's also a certain level of respect that we give to the elders in our community. So I also view it that way. So I just want to thank you for sharing that. Thank you for your total transparency. Listen, I'm going to pick up the book. Okay. And I am going to gift it. I have to put some information in the Sis Network because I know there are other women that are suffering in silence that we might not know are suffering. There's other women that need to hear your voice, that need to hear your story, that need to know that it's okay to be imperfectly perfect, that need to be unapologetic about who they are. So, yes, I want to thank you again. I'm honored for you just to be a part of the Sis Network and to be a part of 50 Phenomenal Women. I am going to continue to follow you on social media. And just tell us a little bit about the speaking as we close. You're also a speaker. So what are different topics? And then can we find out more about your speaking on your website?
Yes, you can find out everything about my speaking on my website. It's mainly about the speaking career side of my life. Like I said, I used to be a health inspector, and when I realized that that's not my calling is in encouraging and inspiring women, even before the alopecia. But the alopecia actually pushed me into doing it even more because I realized that many women need a voice. I'm like the voice of the voiceless for those who cannot speak for themselves and realize that you're not alone, basically. So even with the book that I wrote, it was when I got diagnosed, there was nothing that I could relate back to. There was no book out there in the market that could tell me a day in the life of somebody with alopecia, or how I got to get diagnosed and what I did afterwards, how I managed the diagnosis, etc. So that was what it was about. And with the speaking, I don't mainly talk about alopecia, but of course, because it's part of my journey, I do bring it in because it's so important. And I know after every talk I have women come to me and say, I have it too, but I'm scared to come out. How do I do it? And that's how the coaching is kind of coming in as well, where I'm having some free for now coaching sessions with women, and uh, counseling sessions with women, where I'm just walking them through, because some people come and say, I was actually contemplating of committing suicide. I was contemplating on on my husband, leaving my husband because I don't think he'll love me when he finds that I don't have any hair, because some people still hide it from their spouses.
Wow.
That's how bad it can be. And so, knowing that they know that they are not alone, that makes a huge difference. And that takes a lot of load off their shoulders. And that's what we're here for: sisters inspiring other sisters, being your sister's keeper, and just knowing that Sis Monique has my back, Sis Siza has my back. I'm not alone. And that's how I grew up. And when I know that when I have a community, I'm good. So
Thank
thank you for the community that you've created, because it allows us to actually be there for each other.
Wow. Thank you so much. And thank you. So someone in Facebook on Facebook put that in the comments. Thank you so much. And we are just getting started. I mean, we are going to cover so many topics. We're going to start talking about dating. We're going to talk about online dating. So Lady says that you have to come back, okay, and give us some tips about that. And we are discussing anything and everything all topics that impact women. Sisters Inspire Sisters is for women, by women. We believe that we can educate, empower, uplift, network with one another, and of course, while we're doing it, increase our brand visibility and awareness, which means increasing our business. Thank you once again, Lady Siza. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube page, Sisters Inspire Sisters. Also, please visit the website, sistersinspiresisters.com. And if you're interested, think about becoming one of 50 phenomenal women. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye bye.